Welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX. This man is in charge of the public works. He is Mr. Electricity himself, Shawn Corporate Commissioner Shawn DePaz. And of course, there's the vice mayor himself over there. It's Jesse Friedman.
Has anyone ever drank coffee on this show?
I don't believe
I've drank coffee
so.
on a show before, but I think it was just a G-rated that had done it. Listen, I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
I am a sleepy little boy.
There's some long nights it's been being put in.
Damon always drinks coffee.
Apparently, I'm not on the show, according to Jesse, because I drink coffee every fucking day.
It's
My
cold coffee. No, it's not
fair.
real. This is real coffee.
This is real coffee. I just
real hot
Keurig it right before.
coffee brewed. I can see steam coming out of the cup.
Damon also just hit into my favorite bit that I do to Leah all the time, making her feel bad for not including me in like the PHNX Coyotes crew. So now the point where I was like, she would always be like, it's Craig and Petey and me, and I'd be like, I'm here too.
Yeah, he's also here.
So now I get included in everything. Yeah. So keep it up, Damon, and you won't be forgotten.
I'll make sure not to include you, Damon, plenty. But of course, one thing that we found out today is that the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to include plenty of Zac Gallen and plenty of Merrill Kelly in their lineup for their final 16 games of the season.
Or maybe just their final 16 games.
Maybe, because it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Mike Fitzgerald confirmed on Luke and Wolf this morning that Zac Gallen and Merrill Kelly will start 8 of the team's final 16 games, including the next 2 games. So that would put Gallen starting on September 13th, at least based on our calculations, September 13th, September 19th, September 24th, and then in the finale there against the Houston Astros on September 29th. Not the final game, but the start of that series. Kelly would then pitch every game after him, including tomorrow, then September 20th, September 25th, and September 30th. Interesting thing about that is that would make the 2-game series with the Giants, I believe, Gallen and Kelly, which is a fairly important series.
Yeah.
We said it doesn't stack up well for the Cubs series here at home. No Gallen, no Kelly in that series. But what are your thoughts specifically, Jesse, on how this is going to impact Gallen and Kelly's availability in the playoffs?
Yeah, it doesn't line up great. If you were curious what it would look like for the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs and have neither Zac Gallen nor Merrill Kelly available in Game 1, it looks like that's what you're gonna see.
That makes me sick to my stomach.
Mr. Mantiply. Postseason hero.
I already have anxiety about that. Why is that? Is that due to how soon after the final game? Because the final game is essentially on October 1st of the season.
Yeah.
So how soon after that do the playoffs start? Would that 3-game wildcard series start on the 2nd or the 3rd?
It would start on the 3rd.
Okay.
So yeah, with the way that things line up, you've got Zac Gallen pitching today. And what kind of messes with things is Zac Gallen pitches today on the 13th, but he's not able to pitch on the 18th because the D-backs don't play that day.
Right.
He's going to have to pitch on 5 days rest and start on the 19th. And if you just work it out every 5 days from that point forward, it lands with him starting on the 29th. And if he starts on the 29th, he can't pitch on the 3rd unless he's on short rest, right? You would just have the 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd as off days. So he would be on short rest if he were to pitch on in Game 1, and Merrill Kelly would be on even shorter rest. So the D-backs, as things line up, the D-backs would have Zac Gallen available in a Game 2 of a potential wild card round, and they would have Merrill Kelly available in a Game 3. They would not have either available in a Game 1, which you have to presume would be some kind of a bullpen game, right? Where the D-backs just matchups the heck out of the thing and try to piece it together.
No.
If they manage to win that first game with the bullpen game or however they manage to go about, then the D-backs are in a great position, because then if you either win Game 2 and then you get to start presumably Merrill in Game 1 of the next series, or I guess then you go 3 games, but then you have Merrill presumably again in a winner takes all Game 3. So
I think that's, if you're asking me, frankly, that's the silver lining, is that I feel more comfortable about Kelly being in the finale should the Diamondbacks be able to,
I would argue
they split the first 2 games
more than Zac. Personally,
right.
I think I'd rather have Merrill more than anybody be in that last game.
I mean, based on how he's pitched lately,
of how, and I mean, like,
it's going to be on the road.
I would rather Zac start Game 1, but I think I like the idea of Merrill being, obviously, since neither of them are going to start Game 1. Like, I like Merrill coming second in that situation. Because I mean, like realistically, obviously losing game 1 could kind of ruin the whole series for you. But like, if the series is going 3 games, regardless, I would much rather have the bullpen game come in the first one than the last one.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
A silver lining, I guess.
That's a fair point. Well, speaking of Zac Gallen, for the first time this season, Zac Gallen is no longer the leader for MLB.com's Cy Young Award voting poll. So there's been 4 previous polls this season. Up to this point, Gallen was the NL leader in the previous 4 polls. He got the most votes. He got busted down to 3rd in the latest polling. He did allow 11 runs over 2 starts on August 28th and September 3rd, which basically caused his ERA to skyrocket a bit, and it caused him to kind of lose that stranglehold he's had all season long on that voting. I believe Justin Steele now is the voting favorite, followed by Blake Snell, who just still walks a crazy amount of people. But it's just insane sometimes to look at Gallen's home versus away splits, and that factors into what you're talking about as far as who you would prefer there in that final game. Gallen this season at home is 11-2 in 14 starts with a 2.18 ERA, a 0.971 WHIP, a strikeout to walk ratio of 7.64, and
That's
an opponent batting average of 220. His away stats, he is 4-5 in 16 starts. He has a 4.36 ERA. He has a 1.186 WHIP. His strikeout to walk ratio, 3.52. More than half of what it is at home, and a 245 opponent batting average. So really, that the batting average, I mean, that changes a bit, but it's still nothing compared to the contrast of his ERA at home versus away, his WHIP, and his walk to strikeout ratio.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how this Cy Young race pans out. I know a lot of people, there have been a lot of articles written in the last few days, with people kind of making their lists and talking about how it certainly seems like it's going to go down to the final start of the year.
Seems like
none of these guys have a significant advantage, if they really have much of an advantage at all. I still think Zac Gallen is in this race just because of the innings, as we've talked about previously.
And I mean, he's going to have more innings, like we just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes like 7 innings to start the rest of the way in 4 more starts, I mean, he's going to creep close to about 220 on the season. That's a pretty big number when no one else in the race, or at least no one else who really seems like they have a real shot at this point,
top 3
is
guys.
Even going to hit. Is even going to hit 200. So I mean, Blake Snell averages less than 5 2/3 innings per start. Justin Steele averages less than 6 innings per start. Those are like kind of troubling numbers, right? For Cy Young candidates who, have good numbers elsewhere. I mean, they both have really, really good ERAs. That's of course where the big advantage for them lies. But innings have a lot of value. Them not going those extra 30 innings, those are innings that their bullpen has to cover it. Probably not nearly as high of a level as those pitchers would be able to. So there's a lot of value in the innings, and Zac Gallen has that advantage. He's at least close enough in ERA and WHIP and some of the other categories to keep himself in the race at this point.
I want to give a quick shout out to Tyler Hall. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Tyler.
Hey,
thank you for joining us. I know there's a lot of things you could be doing on your birthday, so sitting here listening to me be a gas bag is something that I truly appreciate. But the question remains in regards to Zac Gallen winning the Cy Young. Do we even want that? And I'm going to be really selfish here for a moment. Like, I know Zac Gallen wants that. I know Zac Gallen, at the end of the day, wants to achieve all of the awards, all of the goals. He wants to win World Series. He wants to win a World Series here in Arizona. There's no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure very much so, knowing how competitive he is, that he absolutely wants to win this award. So there's no doubt that's not the question here. Nor is it one of those things where he doesn't deserve it. Nor is it one of those things that I don't want him to be happy and win all the awards. I just also want to be happy, and I want Zac Gallen to stay here in the Valley. So it feels at times like, even though we're rooting him on for this award, that this award could potentially just be another thing that prohibits him from being able to stay here. Gallen is under contract until 2026. He's got 2 more arbitration eligible years in 2024 and 2025, which a Cy Young award would essentially impact, right? I mean, if he wins a Cy Young award, he's going to get paid more in arbitration, and that's going to be a good case for his side in order to get that more money. But his Major League Baseball career earnings aren't very much. And I'm not going to say this from a perspective of a man that's ever earned anywhere close to this money, but including his $563,000 signing bonus that he got with the Cardinals, he's earned about $8.7 million in his career. Now, that's a lot of money.
7 more than I have.
That is correct. That is correct. But by comparison, right, Zac Gallen has been known for the last few seasons as one of the best pitchers or one of the better pitchers in baseball. By comparison, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are both getting paid each this season $43.3 million for 1 year of playing baseball.
That is a lot of money.
Right. And the thing is that at the end of the day, Zac Gallen wants Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer money. And I mean, the way that he's pitched, you could argue that he deserves it. So Gallen will and should get paid when he is a free agent, which will almost likely eliminate the D-backs from that equation. So really, it feels like the only way they can get Zac Gallen to stay is to figure out some sort of contract extension, right? Like, and I hate to say it, but Zac Gallen just missing out on the Cy Young Award, that would be a good time to be like, hey, let's get that contract extension done. I just want him to stay in the Valley. But I feel like, again, that's one of the things about this award is it truly feels like, should he become a Cy Young Award winner, that is going to just kind of seal the fate that we only have, 2 more seasons of Gallen here after this year.
I want to believe that they can re-sign him no matter what. I know that might be a little naive.
I would like to believe
I don't know. This is gonna sound like I want my guys winning awards. Like I don't like I can't concern myself that much with the future. Like I want Zac Gallen to get the credit he deserves. I want the country to recognize that we have the best rookie in baseball and the best pitcher in the National League.
Which is funny because that's why I feel differently. We have Corbin under contract, so I'm like, give him all of the awards.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously is very different in that regard, and obviously, like, this team doesn't directly gain something from him winning this award the way they do with the draft pick and Corbin. But like, I don't know. I just like, I feel like there's something about like the culture of the organization. Like you showing people that like we win over here.
Yeah.
Like we've got like, and
we develop people into the best pitcher in the league.
So like, I feel like there's value in that. Maybe not direct or like tangible value, but I don't know. And just as a fan, like I want to be able to tell everybody like, we have the best pitcher, and we're going to have the best pitcher next year. Because ultimately, if they win a World Series next year, I don't care if they like. Obviously, I would still want them to re-sign him, but it doesn't matter as much because they've got the ring.
As much as I want it, it feels inevitable anyway, Jesse. Right? Like Scott Boras being his agent doesn't typically sign contract extensions.
Doesn't bode well.
It does not bode well. Marcus said in the chat his agent wants him to hit the open market, and I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure Zach wants to hit the open market, right? So, like for the most part, it feels inconsequential as far as if he does or doesn't win this award, impacting how long he's going to stay here. But am I right in assuming that a Cy Young Award for Zac Gallen all but seals it, considering what that would make his value at that point?
I don't know how much of a difference it makes, honestly, whether he finishes first or second or third or whatever it is. The point is, it's going to be really hard for the Diamondbacks to extend Zac Gallen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Maybe it has a marginal impact, and I agree it probably would make some difference in an arbitration hearing. He'd probably make a little bit more money over the next couple of years, which of course impacts the Diamondbacks
which he deserves,
in some
absolutely
way,
deserves,
which he absolutely would deserve. I think it is a common misconception, though, with Scott Boras that his clients never sign extensions. It is rare, but it has happened before. There have been, I believe, more position players than pitchers, but there have been a few pitchers. Someone asked a question about this in my last mailbag story over at gophnx.com, so you can check out a more full fleshed out version of this over there. But 3 pitchers are notable who are Scott Boras clients and signed extensions. Jared Weaver with the Los Angeles Angels, who was at one point a very, very good pitcher. Not so much toward the end of his career. That didn't end so well for the Angels. Lance McCullers Jr. with the Houston Astros, Scott Boras client. And then, of course, Steven Strasburg, the recently retired Steven Strasburg, a Scott Boras client who signed.
Those are great examples.
Steven Strasburg.
I don't know.
That one's a little tough.
Yeah. I just think Scott Boras. I think Scott Boras knows what he's doing.
That's what I think. I think Scott Boras very much. It almost feels like now, like if Zac Gallen signs an extension, you're like, oh
no,
Scott Boras.
What is Scott
something we don't.
There's an obvious connection, especially with McCullers and with Strasburg, right? Where those are both very injury-prone pitchers, right?
Yeah.
And Zac Gallen has not really been that. He had some roadblocks in 2021, and including a little bit of a UCL scare at one point that happened just a couple years ago. But yeah, Lance McCullers, he was slated to hit free agency at age 28. He signed a 5-year, $85 million extension with the Houston Astros. And then Steven Strasburg also was slated to hit free agency at 28. And the Nats gave him 7 years and $175 million. Of course, that contract has really turned disastrous for the Nationals. So yeah, it's tough. The odds are certainly not in the Diamondbacks' favor. Those guys had some injury risk, and you have to figure that had some part in Boris and the player being interested in signing that extension. Zac Gallen will hit free agency a little bit later than those two examples. He'll be 30 rather than 28, which theoretically would lower the price tag. But he obviously has, at least at this point, considerably less injury risk than either of those guys. And he's also, Lance McCullers just isn't a great comparison because Zac Gallen is just better than Lance McCullers and significantly more established than Lance McCullers was at that point.
Yeah, correct.
I feel like the important thing is Boris isn't necessarily morally against signing extensions. He obviously is trying to get his players to make the most money. And I mean, not signing an extension is a risk for the player too. Especially pitchers, if knock on wood, but if something happens to Zac Gallen's elbow or something next year, and then it's well, bet you wish you signed that extension last year. And plus, I mean, based on it's one clip that we heard him talk about on the Mookie Betts podcast, but it definitely seems like he likes being here. It doesn't seem like he wants to necessarily. It doesn't seem like he's kicking down the door to get out of Arizona.
No, not at all. Not at all. But
I think if the money's right, he'll stay here, and I think it ultimately is going to come down to Ken Kendrick.
It's going to come down to money.
You're gonna have to pay the dude, regardless. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to have to pay him.
Yeah. It's going to be $200 million or more. Depending on kind of what happens over the next couple years. If he stays healthy and continues to pitch about as well as he is right now, I think it's safe to say it's going to be 200 or more.
Connor Cunningham in the chat says, I don't see why it matters if he takes 1 or 3rd in Cy Young. His value is what it is. Mad Bun coming off books soon, Ahmed Money, etc. We have proven we will pay guys. And that's a very good point. The Diamondbacks will pay guys. Yeah, usually it just seems to be the case that they're looking to pay guys from other teams that big payday, like they did with Madison Bumgarner, or like they kind of did with Greinke, that it's not, again, a guy like Gallen. But we haven't really had a guy like Gallen that was here. He kind of became a star here in this way. Yeah. And also, now we want to keep him here. Besides Paul Goldschmidt, that's the one guy who was like that. And obviously that's the one that sticks out in a lot of people's minds that make us feel like this isn't going to happen.
I'll say this too. He pitches better in Arizona. As far as he's better here.
We gave you the home away splits. Do you want to have a 4.36 ERA?
He has a good relationship. Connor brought it up. Good relationship with Strami. I feel like there's outside of him currently liking it here. From a career perspective, there's reason for him to want to stay here too.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Speaking of a good career, having a good career here in Arizona, Tommy Pham has been really doing some good work here. In September, Pham is slashing. He's emotional
Shawn,
in every way.
Shawn is outrageous today.
He's just reactionary. In September, Pham is slashing 298, 327, 596 with a 922 OPS. 3 home runs, 8 RBI, 8 extra base hits. And at 35 years old, Pham is the oldest player in the league to steal 19 or more bases this season.
I feel like that's got to get the young guys juiced.
Yeah.
When you see, it's almost like when Christian Walker steals a base. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's got to be.
Well, and there is an incredible article over at The Athletic from Ken Rosenthal and Will Salmon about Tommy Pham that I think everybody that's a Diamondbacks fan should check out. It details kind of his past and how he's had some crazy things happen to him, and he kind of gets a bad rap considering how many teams he's been on and a lot of what he's gone through in his career. But it details a lot about how intense of a teammate he is, how good of a teammate he is, how good of a locker room guy he is, and how much people enjoy playing with him. I think that it was Mike Hazen who basically said that we don't we don't really know the real Tommy Pham.
He said, "Whatever you think you know about Tommy Pham, you don't."
Yeah,
that was the Mike Hazen. That was a killer Mike Hazen quote in this story.
By the way, the title of the article is "Beyond the Slap," and then I think it's that quote, which is a wild. It's a wild title, but yeah, of course, right now, especially with Tommy Pham, like it's kind of crazy when an incident like that happens. We've joked about it at times and such, but it has kind of become the thing that Tommy Pham is known for, instead of his play or his success as a ball player, things like that. Obviously, the incident that happened earlier, in San Diego, that's a thing that kind of people have been talking about when it comes to him. And again, when I met Tommy Pham for the first time when he joined the team, he was very intense. But it was funny because in reading the article, the way people described him of being a very direct person, that's and that have that intensity. It's like, yeah, that's why our handshake was like that. It was electric. He a lot of people just kind of like passively like, hey, how's it going? Like, it's no big deal, but you can tell maybe they didn't even register. Like, he looked into my eyes and was like, how's it going? And like gave me a firm handshake and stuff. So like, I love Tommy Pham, and I'm glad that he's part of this team. But to read this article really did shed light on kind of who he is and what he's kind of gone through in his career. And honestly, he really is the kind of guy that brings the experience that most of the Diamondbacks players don't have. And I think that's what's the most valuable about him being here. Yeah. Plus, he's been absolutely raking. So,
I mean, as far as the slap goes, like, I think we know that like no one is as like people are better than their worst moments. So there's that.
Yeah.
B, I think it clearly shows. I mean, for better or worse, it shows that this man is like, if he's got a problem, he's gonna handle it. Like he's not like, if he's got something to say, he's got something to do, he's like you said, he's gonna be direct about it.
You can't question his competitive fire
obviously either. When it comes in the form of slapping someone over fantasy football, that's a problem. But when it comes in the form of him being a leader in the clubhouse and like kind of and being whoever he is for this team, like, it's good. I think it's something that the team needs, especially considering how young they were. Like, that's why you sign a guy like Evan Longoria for that veteran leadership. And I think Pham provides that in a very different way than Evan Longoria. But it is like, and I've said before, like, he gives a very much like Kawhi Leonard energy. Is no frills, you don't see him laughing or smiling or anything ever. Like, he's here to take care of business.
He's not wearing the flashy guards like we see some of the other guys that we very much enjoy.
We kind of poke fun at him all the time for having the Franklin gloves and the basic black Adidas cleats. Like, he's here to play baseball, man. He's here to win baseball games. Yeah. And I think this team, like, not that this team didn't have that before. Like, everyone was here obviously to win baseball games, but I think he provides a certain amount of edge that you didn't get from the younger guys, or like a lovable veteran like Evan Longoria. Like, he doesn't provide kind of that, like, you need to have a little bit of fear when you play this team in the way that Tommy Pham, I feel like, does.
I love that there's a quote in here from Buck Showalter. There's honestly so many good quotes in this story from The Athletic. Buck Showalter said, if you can't handle the truth, you can't handle him.
Yeah, so that's like, my kind of guy.
Yeah, it's this guy who is by all indications very, very direct, maybe even uncomfortably so.
Almost militaristic.
Like, but to the point where it's like, you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's sort of just telling it like it is in a way that a lot of players seem to really like having someone on their team who's willing to do that.
Because you can't get that, like, in sports in general, you can't get that from coaches anymore, because I think we are at a point in sports where, like, the new generation of athletes, they don't handle like those straight up confrontational coaches. You need it to come from a peer, someone that you respect in that way. And I feel like, again, that's a kind of unique leadership that Tommy Pham provides.
He also is playing fantasy football with the Diamondbacks players. I believe Alec Thomas said that in a post-game interview the other day, and talked about how they've been like giving him crap about it and the whole thing. So yeah,
that's
the fantasy football thing.
Who was the one to be like, "Hey, Tommy, you've got a spot"? Like I
like four of them huddled in the corner. You ask him. No, you ask him. Oh. Zypher brings up a great question. He says, do they keep him next year with all the outfielders they have? Tommy Pham is currently on a 1-year, $6 million contract. And
no, they're trading for Mike Trout. Remember, they're cheap for a right-handed hitting outfielder. Is already going to be
crazy stuff. Well, I mean, I think for the most part, I think that they might consider it. I mean,
I'd like it.
He is going to be like the problem there obviously is his age. He's going to be 36 years old and one of the older guys in the league at that point. But again, I really don't care about age considering his production right now. If he can be this productive next season, I think he could very, very much be valuable. And I would rather that they kept him over other guys that they might consider keeping on another 1-year deal.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. Like, the outfield is not really where they need to be spending money this offseason.
That's very true.
And so, like, obviously, we know we live in a situation where there's no salary cap, but there is a salary cap for this team. Like, there's no unlimited amount of money they're gonna spend. And so I for all the reasons we just talked about, and like, he is going to be more cost effective than Mike Trout.
Yeah. And pretty much everybody else that they could probably pursue.
Exactly. So, like,
more cost effective than Mike Trout.
Tommy Pham. That's Tommy Pham's main.
Put it on a shirt.
Yeah.
Put it on a shirt.
But, like, I would rather, if you're giving out, like, if you're passing on Tommy Pham because you want to take some big swing in the outfield, like, I would rather you do that with your pitching staff or infield.
The D-backs have bigger needs
Exactly.
than in the outfield for sure. And Tommy Pham is a guy who's not likely to command an enormous salary. It's probably another 1-year deal, and maybe you can get him for $5 or $6 million or something like that. And it's very much a position the Diamondbacks have to fill.
And I mean, he's a guy, like Derek alluded to earlier, has been on so many different teams. He might just kind of want to stay somewhere.
Yeah,
especially if the team's good.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like a good fit right now. I mean, that article talks about him really enjoying like working with Dave McKay and the coaching staff, because again, it's hard at times to get guys to respect, in Tommy's case, he might actually be working with a coach that's like his same age or even younger than him. It's different sometimes. Like I've said that about, Brent Strom with someone like Madison Bumgarner. It's still
You're making a lot of age comments today for all the conversation we had yesterday.
Oh, was I not supposed to? Was I not supposed to attack other people on their age? Yeah. I'm sorry. But no, I'm just saying though, right? Like, I mean, there is something to be said about having respect, or having somebody as wise as Dave McKay to like they were going over like ballpark dimensions and like going through the outfield and looking at just little ballpark factors and things like that. Like it really does. It like you said, it feels like this is a good situation for Tommy. He enjoys being here, and also hopefully that makes sense.
The last few stops of his career in New York City and San Diego, California. Like and we've talked before. The Padres fans they bother me. Like. There's probably a different kind of. He played for the Cardinals, like a lack of pressure here that I think certain guys, not necessarily Tommy, but there obviously are certain guys who I think like the atmosphere that playing in Arizona provides as opposed to playing at a place like New York or San Diego.
Yeah, the fan environment is much different.
Yeah, and especially a guy like Tommy Pham, who obviously had his interactions with San Diego and appears to be a more low key guy. Like, Arizona might just be the spot for him.
He might be. Well,
retire here, Tommy.
Yeah,
so we can retire your number.
Hang out. He's ready to do it. He's ready. He's ready.
28 in the rafters.
He's ready to build the statue.
Right between 51 and 42.
Yeah,
Tommy Pham, 28.
Well, we appreciate you guys being here right now on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when we go live. Leave us our little attaboys. Those are those thumbs up there. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, we appreciate you being here too, you listeners. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so and leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. If you want to watch Arizona Diamondbacks games, you want to watch live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news, the best place to do it is at Fubo TV. You can stream live TV from any device. You can watch the most Arizona sports for the lowest price, and you can start watching immediately with a free trial. There are 1,000 hours of cloud DVR storage included at no extra charge, and you can watch your local teams when you're traveling, which is the best part about this. Make sure not to miss a game. Don't miss an event. Don't miss
Red Zone.
Cardinals football. They got Red Zone.
That's what I care about.
Red Zone is
one of the best inventions of all time.
It really
by
is.
A Syracuse grad.
That's a fact.
It's a fact.
It is
a fact. Like I my whole life, whenever I had the Sunday ticket, I basically did Red Zone myself. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do.
Because I got a multi-screen set up. I'll usually play because usually they're not playing at the same time. I'll have one screen for either the Bills or Cardinals, and then I'll have that so I can lock in that one game, and then I throw Red Zone on. I can get both of them on Fubo.
That's right.
And it's just. I have been spending the last few years sitting through buffering and watching,
it's a great point.
Watching Red Zone on maybe not completely legal channels. This is better and easier. and I don't have to worry about it.
We don't endorse using those at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. Fubo's better because I don't have to worry about it giving me inappropriate pop-up at a time.
Yeah.
No more viruses.
No more viruses.
Get Fubo.
Get Fubo. It's safer.
You could watch all of your favorite college football and NFL with Fubo. Go to www.FuboTV.com/PHNX to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And of course, big shout out to BetMGM, which makes, of course, watching sports even better. Right now, if you have not signed up at all for the BetMGM app, we don't know what you're waiting for. Come join us. Bet a little bit of money, make a lot. In fact, you just have to deposit some money and make your first bet, and you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings. You just got to wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10, and you will get those $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Once you have placed a qualifying bet, you will receive that $200 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. And again, just got to place a wager in the amount of at least $10. So our favorite, I'll tell you, I noticed on the Build a Game parlay that there were some very good options for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but I did not place my bet, and my bet would have gone terribly wrong in the finale there.
I thought you were going the other way, because there is nothing worse than a bet that you didn't make that would have hit.
Oh, that happens
that you
to
wanted
me.
to make.
That happens to me more often than the other way. This
I'll tell
one,
you what's worse. Uzbekistan in 92nd minute goal off a free kick in your stupid mouth.
Alternatively,
why would you have seen Damon's face in that moment?
But alternatively, why would you have given a shit about a match between Mexico and Uzbekistan?
Never.
You wouldn't have.
Never.
So now you do.
Yep.
You got something to watch because you bet on it.
He's right. And that's why BetMGM makes sports better. Sign up for BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. Place your first bet, MGM Sportsbook wager, through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. You will receive those $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Well, it is time once again for our Major League Baseball Power Rankings. So let's take a look at how the best teams in baseball stack up. The Atlanta Braves maintain that number one spot, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't even know if anybody is going to beat the Braves or stop the Braves. Like, we can all have fun with this playoffs nonsense and the wild card. We can all have our little games. We can have our little fun. Doesn't matter. The Braves are going to smash all of us, I feel like. Their magic number to clinch the NL East is down to 2. And that's, going to happen. Phillies there are not even close to them. But yeah, the Braves just have had a stranglehold on that top position. Even when it looked like the Dodgers might come close, they smacked them back down the power rankings. But
they've hit 281 home runs as a team.
They're just on a different tier than the rest of
the Diamondbacks have hit like 150 something.
That's
I think
just stupid.
The D-backs have an above average offense, and the Braves have hit almost twice as many home runs.
Well, Matt Olson got the club record with 51 home runs, which is just madness in this modern day era to have 51 home runs. I don't even feel like people are talking about it or acknowledging it enough, because that man deserves his flowers. But the Tampa Bay Rays come in at the number 2 team here, Jesse, overtaking the Baltimore Orioles. Those two swap spots. What's going on there with the Rays?
Just wanted to switch things up a little bit this week. There's no actual logic behind it. Just
Give
figured
us
a little flip flop.
Stop playing games with us.
No, I mean, the Rays have just continued to play really well. And I mean, the Orioles are also playing really well. But we're going to take a look at something kind of fun a little bit later in the show. This altered standings, where we look at this. What would the standings would be if the results of every one-run game was flipped around the other way?
It's an alternate timeline.
And as you'll see when we get there in a few minutes, the Orioles have benefited quite a bit from one-run games. They've won a lot of close games. Their run differential is about 70 runs off of the Rays' run differential. And granted, the Rays did a lot of that early in the season when they had a really easy schedule and they just absolutely trounced a bunch of teams in the first couple months of the year. But I think that still has some weight that, in the grand scheme of the season, even though the Orioles do have a better record by 3 games or so at this point, the Rays have outscored their opponents by about 70 more runs. So I still could go either way. I mean, they're both really good teams, but I decided to go with the Rays at number 2 this week.
All right.
The Rays also lost their all-star shortstop in the middle of the year and just didn't skip.
And it just doesn't. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Aaron Savali comes over from Cleveland and has been really good for them. They're just a machine, and it's just really hard to stop the Rays right now.
That's very true. Looking at the rest of the power rankings, Astros come in at number 4, Dodgers at number 5. There's no change there. The Rangers make the biggest leap of the week from not being ranked last week to jumping into the 6th spot here. They are back in the 2nd wild card spot or the 3rd wild card spot.
They're in the 2nd.
Yeah.
The Mariners and the Blue Jays are tied for the 3rd, although both the Mariners and the Blue Jays are only half a game behind the Rangers. That's how close things are.
But the Rangers did win
right now.
They did win a lot in the last week, and they rightfully so made this big leap. Just
it was scary there for a second.
Yeah,
for the Rangers. I was worried they weren't gonna make the playoffs, which I mean they still might not.
Yeah,
but
they still are. I mean, they're a half game. They're in it by a half game at this point.
You say scary, I say hilarious. So
well, yeah.
I mean, our two things are different.
Same.
There.
Yeah, they're both.
Yeah, we got
horror.
Well, we got like you said, the Mariners and the Blue Jays there at 7th and 8th, and then the Phillies at the top wild card spot in the NL at 9th, and the Brewers at 10th, which. Of course, the Brewers still remain a team that I do not want to encounter in the playoffs. I pray Mike Farron is right about that when it comes to the Brewers, but
who would you rather play in the playoffs?
That's my thing.
That's the Phillies. I'd rather play the Phillies.
Oh, God.
No, thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
You'd rather play the Phillies
the teams
over
that
who?
just went to the World Series?
The Brewers.
You'd rather play the Phillies over the Brewers.
Kyle's
Yikes.
over 5 home runs in 3 games against the D-backs.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Sorry.
I think I would rather play the Dodgers than the Phillies damn near.
No. The Phillies pitching staff hasn't been very good lately.
No,
Brian
I'm joking
Snitker,
about that,
the manager of the Braves, said yesterday that the Phillies scare him more than any team in the league.
Really?
Yes.
Is
I think
what he
rankings
said,
of teams, I would like, obviously I don't want to play the Dodgers and Braves, but after that, I would play literally any other team
Just
in baseball before I play.
They're a sleeping giant waiting for the playoffs. Is that the idea there?
A sleeping giant. They're in a playoff spot.
Well,
there is no sleeping giant. And we saw what they did last year. Bryce Harper lives for these moments, and Kyle Schwarber might be the greatest leadoff home run hitter of all time.
I thought you were about to
Not
say
that
the
it's
greatest
like,
leadoff. That is a hot
because
take.
he can't do anything other than strike out or hit home runs. But
Get me to one WAR before we talk about the greatest leadoff hitter of all
definitely
time.
not the greatest leadoff hitter
Better
of all
than Ricky
time.
Henderson.
But all that man does is strike out and hit home runs.
The guys in the chat are bringing up that the Rangers did just lose Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
He exited
which I think came out a few minutes ago. That
wow.
I don't believe had been announced.
Yeah,
when,
he did exit
when I was
his-
doing this earlier today. That maybe changes the calculus. I mean, maybe I'd bump the Rangers down a little bit given that news. I mean, Scherzer hasn't quite been peak Scherzer in his time with the Rangers, but that's still obviously a loss for them. Really, once you get past the top 5, like in my mind, the Braves, Rays, Orioles, Astros, Dodgers, those are all clearly elite teams. Once you get past those 5, there's a lot of good teams and maybe even great teams, but it's really hard to figure out, like, all right, are the Mariners better than the Blue Jays? Are the Phillies better than the Rangers? These are questions that really could go any way at this point.
A lot of it has to do with, obviously what they've done this season, run differential, the difficulty of their division. I think, what they have going on there in the AL West is really interesting and fun. And I think that this has been one of the better years for not having teams really emerge. I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know if anybody's beating the Braves, so it feels like they're kind of running away with it a little bit, but anybody can possibly, make a splash, get hot in the playoffs, and even end their season. So
apparently it's, quote, unlikely that Max Scherzer pitches in the playoffs, which to me screams Max Scherzer is going to come in and shut down whoever they're playing in Game 7 of the World Series.
Well, he did exit his start versus Toronto with a right tricep injury, which we are now finding out is now a season-ending injury. Another weird situation with the Toronto Blue Jays with Alek Manoah, who was sent down and did not report to like AAA, and it's just a sad situation because obviously he struggled this year performance-wise, but like I feel like he became a lot of people's favorite, kind of all-star just a year ago when he was shit talking in the middle of the World Series and letting the announcers pick which pitch he was going to throw.
Well, in the All-Star game.
In the All-Star, not World Series, sorry.
In the
All-Star.
World Series.
That would be wild.
Crazy.
That would have been wild. That would have been the greatest thing in baseball.
Satchel Paige type shit, like calling the fielders in, being like, I got this.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, I think it's just obviously not a great situation, but it's an example of how quickly things can go south for a professional ball player. Like this game it's a fickle game, and you can go from being one of the elite to not even being league average very quickly.
He was pitching in single A ball at one point this year.
He was pitching in the rookie league.
Was it the rookie league?
Rookie league, yeah.
I mean, and the fact that he's not reporting to AAA shows that he's clearly not just like taking this in stride.
Apparently he wanted a doctor to look at like his knee or something. There was some physical setback that at least existed from his perspective. I don't know if he and the team were quite on the same page with that. That's kind of how the story's been told, though.
Yeah. Well, I hope things work out for him because he's a delightful personality, and it sucks to see something like that happen. I mean,
I feel like it's not the same in other sports, not to this degree.
No.
Like, do we see this in the NBA where a guy goes from being like the star pitcher in the All-Star game to just not being able to really pitch in
like he can't hit a three-pointer anymore?
Yeah,
he was one of the better shooters in the league.
NBA players get hurt, and sometimes that's like a big deterrent in their careers, but there wasn't like a major injury here that's clearly to blame for this.
You see like Linsanity where guys are on fire and take over the world for like a couple of weeks.
But
to put together an all-star level season.
He had a 2.24 ERA in almost 200 innings.
He was their opening day starter.
Yeah, he was.
Here we are.
Well, on the opposite things of things.
Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons was never like
Ben Simmons was never on the level
one of the best players in basketball.
Yeah. He just went
from that level.
Overrated.
I think Ben Simmons was the same level as Alek Manoah.
There's a
lot more baseball players than there are NBA players.
But Alek Manoah was like damn near Cy Young level last year.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons was never competing
like
for an MVP.
a really good role player, right? But he was
a multi-time All-Star.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, he was obviously he was really good.
Now I have to look up Ben Simmons' stats.
I don't think he was.
People were considering him to be like a future superstar.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously when he was coming into the league, he was like.
I mean that LeBron. While he was on the Sixers.
Yeah, but there was always like this guy can't shoot a basketball, and he's going to have to figure that out.
Even if Damon's right, I mean, and I'm saying I'm
in the unlikely event that Damon is actually right.
Damon knows what the hell he's talking about here. No, I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying like there's still like you had to find the one.
Yeah,
right?
there aren't that many. Right.
In Major League Baseball, this just happens so often, and I mean, especially like even looking through like guys that won Rookie of the Year in the past,
Lewis.
and how many names those guys have just kind of faded into obscurity.
Kyle Lewis can't break a Major League roster now.
Yeah, right.
And he won Rookie of the Year.
And like obviously there's a good reason why his career changed, but at the same time
with him there's a significant injury there.
Pete Crow Armstrong, though, did make his debut for the Cubs, by the way, just on the opposite
Carter
end
Williams.
of things.
Rookie of the Year, and then he disappeared for the rest of his career.
There we go. That's a good one, too. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen with PCA here, but he's flashed some great leather and incredible defense there in his second game for the Cubs. So, again, another fun story, another young guy. I feel like rookies this season are just absolutely becoming stars. I just don't know if I've ever really seen that in baseball before where there was this many new faces. Maybe, just maybe it's due to keeping track more because of Corbin Carroll. But it feels like all of these guys are coming up this year and just becoming stars. We talked about Ronnie Mauricio yesterday, Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, obviously, James Outman, who I'm sorry, Damon, I even had to bring his name up.
Francisco Alvarez and Kodai Senga.
The kid for the Yankees.
The Martian, Jason Dominguez.
Jason Dominguez.
And I mean, they had Volpe earlier this year. There's been a lot of big names. And then, I mean, even like from like a star perspective, like, you look at like the shortstops, like Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, like that middle infield has been incredible. Out of nowhere, it's been a little bit of. I mean, obviously you still have like Ronald Acuna winning MVP and competing with Mookie Betts for the MVP. But like, I feel like there's this. I've been saying, I knew from the moment the World Baseball Classic went the way it did that we were going to be in for a hell of a season of baseball.
It has been
we have
a hell
been
of a
in
season.
for a hell of a season of baseball.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Was this the Cubs like retaliation, like after the Diamondbacks called up Jordan Lawler and took 3 out of 4 in Chicago? They're like, all right, we got a young guy too.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
We're
You guys aren't the only one that can
we
call
have
up a future
all
star.
the money on PCA next weekend. All the money. I don't know on any prop.
Oh man, well that's going to be an interesting series, especially with no Gallen or Kelly going in that one for the Arizona Diamondbacks,
He's
and that
totally
will
hitting
be
a home run.
this weekend, of course. But of course, if you are going out to that game, make sure to stop by Circle K and fill yourself up, fill your car up. It's America's thirst stop, and they have a brand new free membership program that you can get in on. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. You can get that by downloading their app. It will save you 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. We'll also get you buy 5, get your 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products, including pizza, coffee, and of course those ice cold fountain drinks. So make sure to stock up and fuel up over at Circle K. Of course, also check out our friends at Pins and Aces, which make an absolutely incredible golf apparel polo. Many of them, not just one. I made it sound like they just make one. They have a huge variety. They have amazing prints. It's like right up my alley as far as the shirts I wear. So make sure to check them out. They're not just for the links, they're for everywhere. They're comfortable, they're lightweight, they're stretchy, and of course, they are amazing to wear all the time. Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of PHNX and ALLCITY. It is a family-owned golf and apparel business, and they have more than just those polos I was talking about, hats, golf bags, golf accessories, of course, the beer sleeve, which again, not just for the golf course, it's for anywhere. So check out pinsandaces.com and use our code of PHNX. You will receive 15% off your first order, and you will also get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com.
Did we have a whole conversation about rookies being stars this year and not mention Elly De La Cruz?
I think I threw his name
did
in
you
there,
say that?
but I was just kind of saying.
I feel like I didn't hear De La Cruz or Matt McClain, and I was just like,
it's because you chose not to hear those names.
Yeah, apparently not.
You blocked them out.
Shawn has selective hearing.
Yeah.
Who?
What? Also, big shout out to all of our diehards. You guys are amazing. You made us feel great during our anniversary, and we all can't thank you guys enough. Like, legitimately, you made us feel wonderful, and we appreciate the love. If you haven't joined the diehard family yet, make sure to do so now. Check it out at gophnx.com. The membership pays for itself. You will get access to the members only Discord lounge, which that alone is worth the cover price. You know what I mean? It's like a good club. But yeah, it might be a little high in price, but you're going to have a good time. It's going to be worthwhile. But it's not just that. You also get a free piece of merchandise from phnxlocker.com. You get 20% off all future purchases. We have some amazing new shirts on there now. And of course, we have some incredible new designs coming soon. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that. You also get $50 gift certificate for Mountain Mike's Pizza, that Dobson Ranch card, and so much more. You also get all access to all the content on our website, and you get access to members-only invites to events, members-only discounts on events, and members-only merchandise. So join us today at gophnx.com. Jesse alluded to it earlier, but there is this alternate timeline coming to us from our friends at Talkin' Baseball. They posted a standings which basically show what everything would look like if the result of every one-run game in baseball was flipped. So let's take a look at that.
It's amazing.
It's a little small, but the one thing that really stands out to me is that the Arizona Diamondbacks really would just be in the exact same spot that they're in, if not a slightly worse position that they're currently in. But
what sticks out to me is the Yankees are the least clutch franchise in the history of baseball.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true.
I mean, they literally are going from the bottom of the division to second place.
Yeah.
With the switch of those games. And I mean, they are pretty unclutch. May I return your memories to 2001?
I just it's interesting because I mean there's some divisions that are greatly impacted and then some divisions that appear to be essentially exactly the same. The Miami Marlins just completely fall out of the playoff picture though, if this is the case, which is absolutely hilarious.
The Cardinals are who we thought they were.
The Cardinals are exactly who we thought they were.
The Padres are hilarious.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
The Padres are 6-22 this year in one-run
That
games.
is absurd.
Oh my god!
So this is flipping it around 22-6.
Which
that's
is crazy
That's a pretty huge difference.
The Padres have a closer. So it's not like the Diamondbacks where they're blowing games late. Like they have
that's
a good
true,
closer.
But I think that's kind of a misconception that like your record in 1-run games is
no,
indicative
yeah,
of your
I know
bullpen.
that, but I'm just saying for it to be that egregious, like
yeah,
you would like having a closer should limit some of those.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, it seems very unlikely that could ever happen for really any team. Honestly.
And they have especially the Padres. They have tons of guys who should be able to deliver clutch hits in big moments.
That just, especially early in the season, that just didn't happen. Like the Padres were like historically bad with runners in scoring position for the first couple months of the year. And
imagine being bad with runners in scoring position. Couldn't be us.
Well, and I mean, like Baltimore Orioles, they take their season's completely different.
They're 26-12 in 1-run games.
Which I mean,
that around. That's a big.
These
difference.
You get to the playoffs. Take a look at like this is not sustainable. Like being like those teams that are having that big of jumps, like Felix shouldn't happen.
Felix Bautista was a big reason why the Baltimore Orioles were able to win so many of those 1-run games, right?
You call him King Felix?
Yeah, he keeps doing that.
Well,
you just cannot call Felix.
No, there's a backstory. There's a backstory. So they call him King Felix in Baltimore sometimes, and
I have heard
piece of shit radio guy from Seattle or something like that at the All-Star game came up to him and like confronted him about it and was basically like, stop using the nickname, even though he has he doesn't call himself that, and he just
like called him over and like made him feel bad about it
on camera
when Felix had nothing to do with it. So then me and Shawn decided that
I'm going to call him King Felix from now on just to spite that guy. And so he's King Felix now.
I think your reasoning is deeply flawed, but that's
no. Because
there is no.
You're
I
all wrong
understand
in this
that. I mean, that sounds like a bad thing that guy did, but there is just no.
No, he's not King Felix.
There's
and
no reasonable. Yeah,
I agreed with the radio guy in theory. Like calling him King Felix is absurd.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
But you also can't.
But if you're
can't also call a player over and
scold him, who had nothing to do with the fact that the social media is calling him King Felix.
It's pushing back on someone being an asshole.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's fair.
This has nothing to do with Felix Hernandez. He is King Felix. But
he's
there's been multiple kings in history. There's been multiple King Georges.
Multiple King Henrys,
yeah,
right? That's
he's
what
just
I've
King
heard.
Felix the second.
Anyway, speaking of teams that aren't kings, are no longer kings, we have an update for you on teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention. This is different, obviously, than winning the division because these are the teams that are officially out of it. In the AL, it is the Chicago White Sox, the Oakland Athletics, and the Kansas City Royals.
And
the Yankees aren't eliminated.
They're
yet. Not eliminated yet, but they will be soon.
They got eliminated from the division.
The division, yeah. There's been a lot of division teams being eliminated from the division. Your Red Sox are also eliminated from your division, but those
not
are teams
from the playoffs yet, though.
Yeah, those are teams that have been eliminated from all playoff contention in the National League. Only one team.
The Red Sox and the Yankees have like the exact same record, and Sean's over here talking about them like the Yankees are like 44 and 100, like the Royals.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Of course,
we don't have Garrett motherfucking Cole.
Oh, okay,
it's a battle of good and evil. There is a difference.
That team was supposed to be good. The Red Sox weren't supposed to be good.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah, that side of it I do get. I do think, Derek, I'm kind of questioning if it makes you a bad person that you just like put it on our rundown to just like hate on all the, like give a shout out to all the teams that have been eliminated.
Yeah, I did. Shout out to the Colorado Rockies for being the only team in the National League for eliminated. So good job, DNVR. Let's take a look at those all-city standings while we're here, shall we? Yeah, let's put some E's by those names. Can we get some
E's? We're going to have to start throwing E's.
Yeah, we need E's on there, but I still don't feel good about being 3.5 back now in this division. Things were much different before these Phillies came along, but yeah, the Diamondbacks still, come on, we still have something to play for here. This is the most important division.
Yeah, this is all the D-backs have to play for.
This is what matters to us. This is what we care about. But
it was last year.
Yeah, it was. It's all we had to play for. But let's take a look at the actual wild card standings, shall we? Because of course, ALLCITY also runs the wild card right now. We got the Phillies, Cubs, and the D-backs. The Reds won yesterday, so they managed to squeak in there and get one game back. But still, the Diamondbacks doing okay. Like I said, if they can manage to at least split this series with the Mets and win at home against the Cubs, I think things look pretty good from there. Gallen and Kelly, though, that's going to still it's going to be interesting how it stacks up and how it plays plays out if they do make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the D-backs, like we said at the top of the show, they've got 8 more games this year with either Zac Gallen or Merrill Kelly on the mound, and they have 8 games without either Zac Gallen or Merrill Kelly on the mound, right? So you want to maximize those 8 games where those 2 guys are out there. I don't know if you necessarily want to put like a number on it, like, oh, they have to go 6-2 or something in those games, but you would think they need to be over 500, and yeah, like 6-2 sounds a lot better than 5-3 in those games, and I mean that's what they have the next 2 days with the Mets. So I don't know if you're feeling great necessarily with a split here against the New York Mets, knowing that you have those 2 guys going in this series and you don't have either of them going this weekend.
Brandon Stevens in the chat asked where my hat yesterday came from. I believe that's from Fanatics, but don't let Max hear me say that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a good problem to have if the Diamondbacks make the playoffs, to figure out how they're going to stack their starting rotation. That means things have gone well for them this season. I mean, again, exactly. that's the ultimate at this point. That's just the ultimate finish line is for them to get in, right? Even if things don't work out, you just still got to celebrate the fact that they have they're better. They've ever since that disastrous season in 2021, they've managed to climb their way out of that situation and get back to this. Get back to being this good of a team.
Very good problem to have.
Yeah,
I'd much rather them throw Jesse out there to pitch game 1 of the wild card than them not make the wild card.
I bet Jesse has a good breaking ball.
I can see it.
Yeah,
you just had to take that opportunity to hate on my pitching. You haven't even seen me throw a baseball.
I wasn't trying to.
No.
Put any one of us.
I guess you were saying you would rather have.
I would rather. Yeah.
I guess you were talking up my pitching ability. That's fair.
You have a fresh arm.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't have many innings.
Look, at this point, we'd rather take the devil we don't know anyway, rather than the devil we do know. Right. So
Connor and Michael make an interesting point in the chat.
I was going to address that.
Like, do the Phillies really deserve to have like their current season record in the All-City standings? That's a fair point. We could just make the Phillies 0-1. Because they lost their first game since
like the way the
becoming
stats reset for a player when they come over to the new team.
Yeah, the Phillies are 0-1, so they'd be at the bottom. And
sorry,
I mean that's
good luck
that's a good idea.
We
can do that.
They're gonna have like a crazy win percentage if they go on it.
They win 1 game and they're 2 games and they're
crazy.
They'll
be right back up there. Yeah,
67.
I don't know if that's not a good plan. That's not a good plan. We'll have to come up with something else. But of course, if you live here in Arizona, you're an Arizona Diamondbacks fan, you need to get yourself a quality pair of sunglasses. And of course, you can get those from our friends at Shady Rays, an independent sunglass company with a world-class product and a world-class lost and broken replacement plan. Of course, Shady Rays tells us if you lose or break your pair, even on day 1, they will bring you. It makes it sound like they'll hand deliver it to you. They'll send you out. They'll have a courier of some kind or a mail person bring it to you, but they will send you a brand new pair of glasses. No questions asked, no guilt. They won't heap shame upon you for losing them. They will just send you out a brand new pair. You can shop their entire collection at their location at Kierland Commons. It's a full-stop shop for all things Shady Rays. And of course, if you don't like the sunglasses you either get at Kierland Commons or online, you can either exchange them for a new pair or get your money back for free within 30 days. No questions asked. They have your back long after you make your purchase. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And you know what? It's tailgating season. And of course, the perfect beer to have at tailgates is our friends at Fort Peaks Kilt Lifter. Kilt Lifter is the perfect tailgate beer, and it has been for over 25 years here in the Valley. Win or lose, we booze with Kilt Lifter. So make sure to check out Four Peaks wherever you get your beer. You can get Four Peaks, especially at the remaining games at Chase Field. You can go to the Four Peaks draft room up there in right field and get your beers there. Of course, you can
game 3 of the ALD or the NLDS.
Yeah, with Merrill Kelly on the mound, right? Wait, no.
I don't know how that would line up.
No, it wouldn't be Merrill Kelly at that point. I don't know.
Game 3 would be.
Oh my God.
Game 3 of the NLDS would be the first.
Don't even get me started beyond this 3-game series of the wild card. That makes me even more worried.
It's the first chance we'd have to play a playoff game at home.
All right, well,
be game 3
I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm all for playoff games.
They might not have either Merrill or Zach. Like if they got to the NLDS.
Like in games 1 and 2?
Yeah, like they might have to piece together 2 games of that. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Again, it'll be a great problem to have.
Should we have to experience it and figure it out?
There's going to be a situation where Zach Davies is pitching in like game 1 of a series in the postseason, and we're all going to be upset about it, and we're going to be like, remember, we could be at home not playing baseball right now.
Great point. That's a great point.
Shawn, I think you are right though that I mean like a game 3 of an NLDS, that would be the first opportunity the D-backs would have to play a home playoff
potentially
game.
Could be a depending on how the first 2 games go, either a clinching or a win or go home, right? Because the DLs will be 5 games, no?
Yeah. Could be. This all seems too early to be talking about any of this.
It's
but
crazy to start thinking about.
Yeah, we should. So if they made it to the World Series, who would be available in Game 1?
I can't wait for
celebrate the Diamondbacks World Series victory with a kilt lifter.
5 inning like relief appearance to win Game 7.
Yeah.
Celebrate with a kilt lifter.
Yeah, that's right. Well, visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all things from your favorite brewery tours and events. Stein holding Oktoberfest, haunted brewery tours. Again, the ghosts make the beer. Sorry to tell you guys that, but it's the truth.
Just so you know, the ghosts make the beer.
Haunted brewery tours are all right around the corner, so check out at Four Peaks Brew or Four Peaks Pub on social media to keep up with the latest. Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly.
That's true. We could just catch Philly and play the wild card here.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, the door is technically still open.
Which I swear to God, if that happens, we better play Philly and not Chicago, because I don't know how those snowbirds are down. It wasn't cheap for the snowbirds to get down here. They have the money to pay for playoff.
I remember I attended a Diamondbacks Cubs playoff game in, I think it was 2007.
Oh wow!
Diamondbacks played the Cubs in the NLDS, and I think they do a pretty good job of making it so that I don't know how they do it, honestly.
Well, yeah,
but I think it's vast majority Diamondbacks fans at playoff games generally from my experience growing up.
I see a lot of teams that do like the zip code thing.
Right.
It's a little different here because
they
most
live
of them
here.
live here.
Yeah, they live here. Yeah, they're in Gilbert.
They are in Surprise.
All right. Well, that's all we got right now. Of course, make sure to follow us on social media. I am at Cap_caveman with a K. This maniac next to me, Shawn, he is at Shawn_DePaz. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. The other maniac in this situation is the one behind the Mac. That is Damon. We are Damon's dogs. And of course, you can follow him at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. All roads, of course, do lead to at PHNX_sports. And our show is at PHNX D-backs. Make sure to follow at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we thank you guys again for stopping by. We appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is way more fun when you know who is going to pitch in the first game of the playoffs.